This video is going to be a little quicker and a little less edited than the previous one, but it's okay. We're going to get to the point. The chapter wasn't as long as, maybe we all thought it would be, and there wasn't much to cover, so that's why I'm doing this style of video for Berserk. I usually like doing a, formal video, I guess, right? Edited everything. So as you see on the top of this picture, the second part of the consecutive chapter release. Okay, and you see a lot of things, little quotes on the cover page. The hour to know oneself comes again, and the cry of a newborn rings out. Come back. Okay, I guess this is Guts, two parts of Guts coming to himself, right? They're returning, right? This is what they're kind of representing with that. But the chapter starts off with Daba kind of feeling and perceiving in a way of what is going on with Guts, and he comes to this conclusion that, well, he was already dead. So I guess the whole process that he wanted him to go through inside the darkness failed because Guts was already dead. This is the conclusion he starts to come to, obviously not knowing the actual true nature of Guts. No one really could know. I'm sure people wonder how come the witches and other people just didn't know this about Guts already. Well, because they're looking at a physical man walking around, living and breathing, and humans don't just have, like, you're not just perceiving their astral bodies. The astral body comes into form and play when you die. Okay, and the physical body is separated from your astral body. That's when that happens. So nobody would have even thought to try to look for his astral body or anything like that in the deeper parts of the astral world. Nobody would have thought to even do that. So of course, that being a concept that shouldn't even be a thing, and a concept that nobody's even thinking of, why would they act in that way? So of course Daba and everybody else who can perceive Guts, and he still has a spirit and whatnot with him, right? His whole being wasn't born in the astral world, right? So it's hard to say if he was literally walking around without a soul, or was his soul just fragmented. That's a different story for a different day, and something that we'd have to dive in on this different, in its own way. We'd have to dive into it in its own way. There's no way we can kind of gather that right now. So in short, obviously nobody understood Guts' true nature to the extent that they did. Maybe only Skull Knight did, right? I think Skull Knight is the only one who understood the whole thing, right? He understood the entire picture because he's not even from here entirely, right? So, and by the way, I didn't exactly say certain things in the previous chapter that, I was thinking, but I just didn't exactly convey them all out. I'll kind of touch on that again in this video right now. So I guess one thing being, when we get to the part with Guts awakening inside the stupor while everybody's outside waiting for him to wake up, one thing is, the first thing I should say is, Guts notices his vision is back. He can see. And that's one thing I didn't mention, right? Because I did mention that Guts would be healing. He would get healed. His body would heal up in a way. But I didn't go into detail in which ways I think he would heal. And obviously his eyesight was one that I've been saying. I said it 2 chapters ago, right? The first time he ever entered the stupor, I was saying things like his vision might return. His grip strength has been nerfed for a while. He's been fighting in a super fatigued state. Like, okay, his vision was losing, his sense of touch, taste, smell, hearing, right, sight, and everything was going numb. So this whole time his body's been fading away. But now that he is full, and that sounds kind of crazy to say it that way, but now that he has become whole again, these problems aren't there anymore. His astral body that he had, the scars that he had on his astral body and whatnot might be healed too, okay? So he's got a strengthened, like I was saying before, he has a strengthened astral body. His ego is stronger, and it's going to have a result an effect on his physical body, strengthening him, and the power that he's going to gain from this, okay, is going to be his own power. He can now grab things with his full strength, okay? And then plus when he gets inside the Berserker armor, imagine the Guts in the Berserker armor with a healthy body. So he's able to operate at almost like 110% now, not just 100%, because the Berserker armor made sure that he can activate, you know, he can surpass the human limiters. He feels no pain, so he can surpass the human limiters in the human mind that naturally restricts your full physical power in this world, because, you know, to prevent your own body from hurting yourself. So you can never, like, you can try, but you can never release all of your power in certain situations unless, you know, adrenaline, all that sort of stuff gets flowing and pumping throughout your body. Guts, with the Berserker armor, was able to ignore all of this pain and all of these mental limiters, and he released his full strength. That's why he was able to achieve superhuman feats, in particular when he had that on, because, you know, he was already doing things that kind of seemed superhuman before then, because he's at the peak of human physicality, right? Like Batman, right? So Guts now, having his restrictions that he had before, you know, aside from the Berserker armor and whatnot, the physical limits that he reached with his eyesight and muscle fatigue and atrophy and all sorts of stuff, that's gone now. He can see, he can feel, he can fight to his full power. And then we're gonna also, I feel like, see, okay, and each panel, mind you, each panel is representing how he's just way stronger. He's lifting himself up in an instant with one foot. He's flying straight up into the air. He's like, oh, this is different. And I think this panel right here is trying to represent how he has this sort of clarity now. He can hear the water, right? He can hear the water, his ears, his eyesight, like I said, every sense is back. So he's back into 100% healthy shape. He's probably feeling better than he's ever felt in his entire life, right? Physically and everything, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually. And he's probably never even felt his spiritual, but now he is, right? So at one point I was thinking that they were kind of drawing Guts a little different, because, you know, Miura would take an account of how his physicality was, and Guts, since he always is moving and, you know, exercising, basically swinging his sword and whatnot, fighting every day, he never really lost any muscle mass, but he would lose body fat percentage. So Guts would become a slimmer, skinnier man, even though he was like still strong, because, you know, Miura took an account of all these sorts of things and details when making his characters. And I kind of realized, because I was going to go on a whole rant about how this is one thing I guess they kind of forgot. But now that I think about it, I guess in Elfheim, Guts had the time to kind of build up a little bit more, even though he wasn't there that long, right? I guess, I don't know, that's debatable. But I feel like they did forget that at some point. He was supposed to be a little slimmer. But either way, him healing in the way he has wouldn't make him, you know, his muscles get swole again. So I guess that's my little nitpick at the artistic depiction of Guts right now. Outside of that, I feel like some of these panels were the best Guts faces they've given us this entire time since they've been drawing him, okay? And we're seeing, like, each footstep of Guts, he's just, like, powerful, okay? And he puts his hand on the stupid door, and from outside, they see the temple shaking, I guess. They can feel it. The door's shaking from outside, right? It's rumbling a little bit. And Guts puts all his force into this door, which, you know, they had those big dudes seal up earlier. The big guys, I forgot what they're called, but the big Kushan warriors. And Guts is pushing it down with one hand. Not only does he push the stone down with one hand, but he also breaks his cuff with one hand. And see, when I saw this panel, I'm like, okay, yeah, Guts is definitely kind of really buff. But, you know, like I said, he was eating at Elfheim and he finally was able to relax. Maybe he built up a little more there. He was working out at Elfheim too, but like I said, he was always working out. He's fighting every day. But anyway, That's just a small side note. When we get to Guts actually leaving the stupa, and he's kind of looking around, and I feel like they know who he is. They know that was him in there. But they're looking at Guts as if he's not Guts, like he's a monster. Like they don't even realize, like, you know, they're just so surprised and shocked at this guy right now. I feel like he has a presence. He has a different presence around him, similar to how when people look at Griffith in this physical world, they have this sort of, they lean into the ode, the art that he's distributing. I think Guts' his ode has changed. So he's giving off a different feeling, especially with this whole world being under the fantasia that it's under, and people being more sensitive to this sort of stuff in the first place. They're kind of feeling the ode that he's releasing, and, you know, they're kind of perceiving him as something different, right? To them, he's almost not even human right now, okay? And I don't see his brand of sacrifice bleeding, but I feel like they zoomed in on it. It might be bleeding, I don't know. I have two things to say about that, but I'll talk about that again later. Let me finish what I was saying about Griffith, okay? Because this is another thing that I failed to mention in the previous chapter. The final panel showing how Guts and Griffith are the same type of being. Mind you, they're not strictly speaking of femto, because I kind of said that last chapter, but I didn't explain it all the way. Okay, yeah, femto exists, but Griffith being in his current body, that's like the moonlight child vessel that he obtained. That is the existence that is born of the interstice. No, not even born of the interstice, but is a being who lives within the interstice, right? He is neither fully in the astral, fully in the physical. That is why they compared Guts to Griffith, because Griffith's current being is the same sort of makeup, albeit with more power because he is femto and whatnot. But that is, you know, that's the comparison right there. So Guts being here now and being this strong, this is going to lead into what I was saying about the brand of sacrifice. I wonder if his brand of sacrifice, obviously, will he be able to control it? Will he not even need it anymore, you know, to sense the presence of evil creatures and whatnot, right? Astral things. And more importantly, when Casca walks into Guts and she encounters Guts again, will, from her perspective, will Guts, like, will he set off her brand of sacrifice? Now, I know you're probably thinking, wow, that makes no sense. Why would he set off the brand of sacrifice? It's because the Lady Witch Flora, even Skull Knight, Lady Witch Flora in particular, and Elfheim, and those things set off his brand. Lady Witch Flora, when he first encountered her in her forest, in her house, the brand was setting off. He kind of was thinking in his head, is she an apostle? I don't know if I can trust her because I can sense the brand going off at her. But then he started to realize, no, this feels different. It's not the same feeling. It's a different type of sensation. You know, it's almost like a soothing burn. It's not like the painful burn. It's tingling in a different sort of way because he's in the presence of somebody who is, you know, a being who can exist in both worlds, because she can project herself and she dabbles in the astral world, but she's a human and whatnot, so on and so forth. That's also the reason why Femto Griffith took her out of the play, because she can possibly be a threat to him with her power and the reach that she has in the astral world. And because of this power and reach, I'm kind of rethinking the idea that I had, that the spirit that we saw over Guts might not be her. We might have to wait for Guts to say whether or not he might speak to somebody about what happened inside of the stupa, or he might simply start thinking about what happened inside of the stupa, and we might get a mention of her through that sort of situation, right? But I do think that she could have been her, maybe. They just drew her different. But I still think I would rather it be a different, higher being or spirit, one of the four cardinal spirits or something like that, so on and so forth. I don't know. But if it is her, it would make sense that she has this much power, because that's why Griffith took her out in the first place. He knew how strong she was. And since she only exists in the spiritual world now, the astral world, to what extent, we don't know. I feel like since she was a witch, she might be able to maintain her ethereal body in the astral world and still kind of do things over there. You know, which is also something I think Guts is going to be able to do now. Guts will be able to maintain his ethereal body, his ethereal body inside of the astral world. So like I said last chapter, when he fights Griffith, I'm probably saying his name wrong right now, I don't know, I'm tired, but when he fights Griffith in the physical world, he's gonna have to eventually encounter Femto in the astral world. I think Guts will be able to travel to the astral world in his physical body, thus his ethereal body being maintained, and him being able to maintain his physical form in the astral realm, unlike other people, because there's no way for them to even come to copes with their death and the fact that this whole astral thing is happening. Guts is different now. He was already dead to a certain degree, right? He doesn't have to come to terms with that anymore. He already has. He just did that. So he's going to be able to exist fully in the astral world after he kills Griffith here. He's going to go fight Femto. That is exactly what I think is going to happen, right? He's going to be able to fight Femto fully. Not here, not because Griffith opens up some sort of thing here like the eclipse. Even if it is the eclipse, Guts can go into the astral world. He can go into that deeper layer of the astral world that's summoned by the eclipse. He can go there with his own two hands, right? But let me keep breaking a couple things down that I noticed, right? Also, Guts is like so strong. Isidro, I forget his name. Oh my goodness! But this boy, I forget his name. He remembers Guts, right? He knows who he is fully. He's always been around him. I guess the old isn't affecting him, right? I don't know. However, why everybody else is perceiving Guts is so scary, it's not affecting him. Even beyond that, the kid is crying because he can't believe Guts is okay again. He notices even that Guts looks fine again. There's nothing wrong with him. He looks like Guts again, you know? He's not in that state of like his mind is wiped out. And by the way, he was training this whole time with the I forgot what his name is, but the Mush Knight, the mustache. I said the Mush Knight. Let's call him the Mush Knight, okay? The Mush Knight, the Mustache Knight. He was training with him the whole time, okay? And he's starting to cry because he can't even believe that Guts is like fine now. He's perfect. And Guts, again, panels representing how strong he is. He's so fucking strong now that he can squeeze and flex his muscles and break the cuff around his wrist in one squeeze. What type of fucking power is that? He can never do some shit like that before. I don't think I've ever seen him do that. Like, he's ripped them off and slammed them on shit and broke them, or ripped it off with his other hand or whatnot. But just to break it with one flex, insane. So his full physical power is back. He might even have a little bit more. For some reason, he might be able to break past even normal human physical body limits. I'm not going to say that for sure because I don't know that, but we're going to have to get a lot more answers in this next chapter. There's a lot of stuff we need to see still coming to this. And Guts is super fucking Diesel. Okay, he's super Diesel now. He's back being super Diesel. And even Puck says, Guts, you've connected. So I guess, is this hinting at Guts? I mean, is this hinting at Puck having known? I mean, if Skull Knight knows, Puck would be another sort of existence that would know this sort of thing, right? Because he is too from the astral world. Like, Skull Knight's existence is kind of just the astral world, right? That's where he's from now. That's where he dwells, right? That's where what he is connected to. That's where he walks. So Puck, if anything, he'd be the other type of person who could see this. And I wonder if Puck is going to give us some sort of revelation or talk about how he knew this the whole time, other than, this little mentioning right here. So yeah, Guts is back, and even Daba is like, what is this guy? Because I guess like right now he's probably seeing and perceiving his ode in an entirely different manner. He's probably like looking at Guts and seeing, I don't know, like something. It's probably a giant spirit. I don't know what he's seeing, like in his eyes, perceiving his astral body right now, or looking at his ego. I don't know what Daba is seeing, but he obviously knows now that Guts is not exactly a normal human either. I don't think that's going to make him a monster, but even what this chapter says at the end, what kind of power will the realizations he gained in the dark bring him? I think it's going to be what I've kind of been harping on this whole time. You know, his physical body has been strengthened, okay? And all those elements with the shakes and the loosened grip, and the weak grip strength, and the tired body, and the eyesight being gone, all that's, it's even his taste and his hearing, it's all back, okay? So, I wonder, are we going to see, like, he's going to have to save Casca, right? But we're going to have to see how that plays out. And I wonder if we're going to even go back to what Casca is currently doing. Okay, I don't know. But there's a lot of questions now. And, I mean, this is giving us more answers, if anything, based on what we've been seeing. So we kind of know the direction that Guts' evolution is going in right now. We just seen it. This is it. And I feel like I haven't forgotten anything to say. I feel like I said everything I need to say. If there's something I forgot, I'll add it, post, upload in the comment section. I don't know. I feel like I mentioned everything. Guts' astral body being like Griffith's, Guts' current state being like Griffith's current physical state, right? Not Femto exactly, but Griffith. He's not like Femto, he's like Griffith. That's where people get it mixed up. I know Griffith is Femto, but right now, currently existing in the physical world, Griffith is the physical existence that he's portraying, right? Because Griffith died when Femto was born. Okay, Griffith is gone, he doesn't exist anymore, so on and so forth. We already know the whole story. But yeah, I already mentioned that. Guts healed, he's healed up. I feel like we're gonna see him go into the Berserker armor without needing rage. I mean, he might still rage out, but it might not be harmful to him anymore. Honestly, he might still rage out, but he can use that maelstrom of darkness that kind of rolls up in the armor. Because the armor, inside the armor itself, since it's a magical place, the armor itself was like a interstice, right? It's like the in-between that he's walking around wearing that kind of gives a more physical manifestation to his beast of darkness and all that sort of stuff. And it even strengthens it, right? So, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. And is his sword going to see an upgrade? Will he have a behelit? Will he use his behelit in his sword in the end? And then he'll be able to cut into the astral world. He'll be able to cut portals into the astral world with his sword. I don't know, man. Maybe I'm doing too much now. But I definitely think there's a lot of stuff that's going to start happening now. And I feel like if you didn't watch my previous video and the one before that, you should watch it, because I kind of cover all the accumulation of things that's been happening. Like the stuff we just saw is kind of not too far from what we've all been kind of thinking. Like he exited the stupa 100%. He's back. And he might not have to, like when he goes inside the Berserker armor now, he might be able to avoid the curse of it, like kind of using up his own life force and his own existence, right? He might be able to ignore it now and resist it in some way, shape, or form, so he can use it for free. He can use it with no repercussions. That's the true mastery of the armor. He's still not going to feel pain, but it's not going to be killing him in the same way, possibly, right? But I think that's it for me. I can't think of anything else to say. So I think that means the video's over.